Before we dive into this week's movie, I have to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey. How you doing, Jamie?
Good, Doug. It's great to be back. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. No, it's good that obviously you folks are just listening, but we have video set up right now. So we're looking at each other, and I'm using a backdrop where he has to stare at the cast of this wonderful movie we're going to do, which is Caddyshack 2. So before we go in and rip this movie apart, which it definitely deserves, we're going to work backwards. So what we're going to do is Caddyshack. Who doesn't remember Caddyshack? 1980. Jamie, I'm sure you saw it many a times when you were young.
It's and even to this day, it's still my top 10 comedy of all time.
Oh yeah, so, totally.
And I did watch it this week with my son for the first time, so I was able to watch it through his eyes. And he loved it too. Good.
And then you saw the sheer disappointment when the second one came on.
Oh yeah, and it's funny. He wanted to watch the first one before he tried the second one, and he might have enjoyed the second one better if he didn't see the first one.
Probably. Well, you're comparing the two. So what we're going to do is go over the simple things. So that first one, star-studded cast. It was only 8 years prior to the second one. But what would you guess the budget was?
So I'm assuming it came out like 1980, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that cast was huge. Back then, 50 million.
No. 6 million. This is a time when actors got paid peanuts.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think of outside of Saturday Night Live was Bill Murray, was Chevy Chase, were they big names yet? I don't know if they were even big names yet.
No, I don't think Bill Murray was really in a big movie yet. I think the only movie he did right around then was it might have been just before this or right after this with Where the Buffalo Roam, the Hunter S. Thompson movie.
Right.
So, yeah. And this movie, so 6 to make, how much do you think it made?
6 to make, 20 million.
40 million.
Okay.
And remember this movie, if anybody ever seen any behind the scenes on Caddyshack, they didn't film for like 5 days because they were partying and doing coke and just not doing anything at all. And then they hated each other. When they were on like Gene Shalit, they did one of those live Gene Shalit like interviews.
Yep.
I think it was like Chevy Chase and Rodney like wanted to fight each other on stage.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a lot of ego from what I heard.
Yeah, and you had it was directed by Harold Ramis, written by Brian Doyle Murray, Doug Kenny, who was big with the National Lampoon. So it was like all those guys. Yep. That movie was super successful. All right. So then we go 8 years later. We'll break down the cast and like go into more.
Sure.
But this movie, again, only 8 years. Look at the cast. Compare the two. There's no comparison. But the budget for this movie.
Being that it was 8 years later, 15 million.
You're close, 20 million.
Okay.
All right. And I'll save you the terrible hard guess on this one, but it made nothing. It made 11.8 million, so it was a loss.
Okay.
But before we go into breaking this movie down, this is a really insane tidbit.
Okay.
So if you notice in the beginning of the movie, you're like looking at all the names, and you saw characters by, and you saw Brian Doyle Murray, you saw Doug Kenny, he passed away years before this. And then you saw Harold Ramis's name underwritten by, too. And I'm like, dude, he wrote this movie? So that's what I'm going into this.
Okay.
Gonna have to be like, Jamie, Harold Ramis wrote this piece of shit. But he didn't. I'm reading this thing. So it says, Harold Ramis was interviewed by AV Club in 1999. I'll try to make this quick. With Caddyshack 2, the studio begged me. They said, hey, we've got a great idea. The Shack is back. And I said, no, I don't think so. But they said that Rodney really wanted to do it. And we could build it around Rodney. Rodney says, come on, do it. Then the classic argument came up, which says that if you don't do it, someone will, and it will be really bad. So I worked on a script with my partner, Peter Torkev, consulting with Rodney all the time. Then Rodney got into a fight with the studio, and he backed out. And we had success with Back to School, which I produced and wrote, which I never knew that he wrote Back to School, Harold Ramis, which is pretty awesome.
Sure.
And he goes, we were working with the same director, Alan Metter. When Rodney pulled out, I pulled out. And then they fired Alan and got someone else, Alan Arkish. I got a call from the co-producer, John Peters, who's like a big piece of shit, Barbara Streisand's husband. He said, come to New York with us. We're going to see Jackie Mason. I said, oh, don't do this. Why don't we just let this die? And he said, no, it'll be great. But I didn't go, and they got other writers to finish it. I tried to take my name off of that one, but they said if I took my name off, it would come out in the trades and I would hurt the film. So like he didn't really write it.
So that they thought that by putting his name on there, it's going to add more value?
I guess.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and there is some crazy stuff about, not crazy, but we'll get into it when we break down like the cast and everything. But
okay,
all right, so let's just get it started. Right?
Well, no, before we go any further,
yeah.
I did a little research on my own.
Nice.
And so Rotten Tomatoes, you know what the score was?
Oh yeah, I do now.
Okay,
4%. Yeah.
Okay, right. Do you know what beat it?
Son of the Mask.
7%.
Wow.
So this movie was ranked lower than Son of the Mask. Just
wow.
to give you an idea. Yeah.
That's pretty embarrassing. But you might think it's embarrassing right now, but if you guys watch the movie and hear what we have to say, I think you might agree. I don't know. We'll break that down. So the movie starts off. Everything looks the same. Bushwood Country Club, same thing. And dude, that Gopher is back.
Well, before you go to the Gopher,
yeah,
you know who sings the theme song, right?
Oh, they got him back again.
Kenny Loggins.
Yeah.
So they brought back Kenny Loggins from the first movie. So but yes, the Gopher's back.
And he's like on steroids.
He's got personality now.
He's got personality and strength. He goes through brick.
He goes through brick and he talks now. So you can hear him kind of.
Oh,
talk.
Dude, that is creepy. There are some really creepy parts of him talking.
So this is like I know we discussed before about other movies, but this is where they take a small character that was in the first movie. He had a small part with him and Bill Murray, but he wasn't a focus. He wasn't. Now he's like a co-star. He's a co-star in this movie. He talks now, and again, they're taking something that was good for what it was and way overdoing it in the second movie. No,
totally, and they do that. I totally agree with that. But the thing that's funny about it, he's so big in the beginning. And I'm telling you, then he's gone for most of the movie. And then he's a big part, obviously, towards the end. But it's funny when I was watching this and I was like, I don't want to dive too much. But it's so funny when he's tunneling, dude, it looked just like Tremors. It was the same thing. And he tunneled through water.
Yeah.
And oh my God, dude.
No. It was again. He became a character now, so he's just ridiculous. It was so that just started the whole movie, so you knew what direction it was going in.
Yeah, I even wrote down. I said the Gopher sounds like Kenny from South Park, and he actually said, "God damn it."
Yeah. Well, then don't forget. We're not getting to the part yet, but the horse also has a personality.
Oh, I know.
It laughs. So now it's again this movie. All right, we'll get to it. All right.
Yeah. So then we see we see the people that are the little rich kids. We meet Miffy, which is China Phillips,
which I can't believe.
The Wilson Phillips hold on fame, which is mind blowing. But she actually had a bunch of stuff.
I looked her up afterwards.
But yeah, man, it's so crazy.
Well, so the name of the movie is obviously Caddyshack 2, and the first movie is about caddies. It's all about the caddies.
Totally.
You had the people. There's one caddy in this whole movie. So it's not even Caddyshack. It's the main. It's Silverman. Jonathan name.
Jonathan Silverman. Yeah.
Right. So he's the only caddy. So it's not even about caddies. This movie. So that alone. The name should have been called Bushwood or whatever. Bushwick.
Yeah. No, they should have done that. And it's so funny. The main guy, he said a million stuff, but the main douchebag, what's his name? Son. Unsolved Mysteries son.
Yes. Well, that's Robert Stack, right?
Robert Stack, yeah. But what's his son's name? I have it here. Oh, Young, whatever. Oh, Todd. Like the perfect yuppie name. And he's wearing he's wearing a big white polo with a giant golfer on it. And they're making fun of Jack's daughter.
Yep.
Kate. They're making fun of her because she went to Michigan? Is that a bad school? And they're just poo-pooing on the whole idea of it.
And then okay, so you have the caddy. What are they wearing? They're wearing a painter's outfit.
I know.
Right there. I don't understand. Was that the colors in this movie? Purple, red, green. And I think a lot of it has to do. And I think you talked a little bit about it. They wanted Rodney for this movie.
Yeah.
So since Rodney backed out, they kind of based Jackie Mason's character on Rodney Dangerfield's character.
Maybe they just resized everything.
Well, wasn't Rodney into construction or like real estate?
Oh yeah, no. It's funny. There's so many things in this movie that it's just they took a pencil, they took the eraser, Bill Murray.
Oh, forget. Well, yeah. The whole Dan Aykroyd thing. We'll get into that.
I know.
So even up to he's got gadgets for golf clubs. Rodney Dangerfield gadgets. He did a silly warm up dance before he swung the ball at the club. Rodney. So like they tried to make him Rodney, and it was just horrible.
I know it was. And then the one part right in the beginning that I loved was, I do love me some Jonathan Silverman. I loved him in Weekend at Bernie's. I love that movie. But he's running for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The credits are just going and going. And then these guys, Dan Aykroyd, like I know he's done a lot of great things. He was great to start off SNL. But dude, for him to get like a special appearance by it, and it's just like, come on, man.
Well, I don't know if you disagree. I'm not a fan of Dan Aykroyd. I don't think he's that funny. I think, he's good with John Candy in The Great Outdoors.
Oh,
he's good with John Belushi. Like, he's like the side character. Like, he's not
totally, yeah.
So who does he interact with the whole movie is Robert Stack. So his guy that's holding him together is Robert Stack. So, yeah, I guess it was early in his – I think he was 37 years old.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd.
But he's usually the good straight man.
Right.
The other person. So when Robert Stack being serious, and him just we'll play for you guys. Just his voice, which is ridiculous. Yeah. But the one part that I love that I kind of pulled up the video clip before was when she makes him run and get a diet root beer. And I don't know, was that a real brand? Hires?
Never heard of it.
I didn't either, but I thought it was real because he got it out of a machine that was a crush machine, orange crush machine.
Right.
So I thought it was real. But the best part was I don't know if rich people are really like this, but she took like a few sips, drops it on the ground, and then the good old gopher grabs it from the ground, sucks it down, and then I actually paused the screen. Do you remember what he had in his man cave?
No.
Oh my God, dude. He had a speaker, like a radio speaker in the wall. He had pretzel and hot dogs, and he had everything. The way he drank it and ate it, again, like we talked about, he heightened it. They're like this little cuddly gopher that was, he was the antagonist to Bill Murray, like the whole movie, It was really silly. And then they just like put him on steroids.
That should have given you an idea of what direction this movie's going in.
Oh, I know.
So, yeah.
And then the next part, like you talked about the caddies, that there's barely any, there's one caddy in the movie. Well, he has his buddy, but I don't think the guy talks.
Well, okay. So there's only two black people in the whole movie.
Yeah.
One was a caddy, and then one was he was vacuuming inside the room.
Oh, okay.
And I thought of this only because later on when they had the slave auction.
Oh, dude, that was cool.
And then they mentioned an old slave. I have it in my notes. We'll get to that when we get to that point. So I know, definitely a little racist overtone.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But no, then Todd talks to them like he runs the club, and he goes, "You know what? In a few weeks, we had 300 electric golf carts that are going to come here and take away your jobs." And I'm like, "Wait, is this what the movie's about? Golf carts?" Or is because honestly, I didn't remember. I haven't seen this movie in so long, so I'm just thinking of like, where is this going?
Yeah. So and then after that, she talked about her father. All right. So this is where we first meet.
Oh, Jackie I know, dude.
Who looks like he's dressed like the Joker.
And this is the first time we get to hear Jackie Mason.
Well, make up your mind. You want to play or you want to fold? Either you're going to play or you're going to fold. Because if you're not going to play and you're not going to fold, then you're going to sit. And between me and you, there's more comfortable places than this for a place to sit. Hello. Did you pass away? Come on, hurry up. Talking to you. Are you still living? Blink twice if you can see me.
All right, so that's the scene so Jackie Mason's voice is ridiculous.
He's got a purple suit.
Yeah.
And who's his partner is Roz from Night Court.
I love that. I love her. I wrote that down too.
Did you?
I wrote love the tough black woman for Night Court. She's my favorite. And again, I have it written down again because they showed the root beer again. They were drinking it on the job site. But it's crazy. He's a construction guy, and you don't know for a fact, but a little far ahead, but it's not taking anything away. But she goes, we winter in the, I have it written down. Oh, we summer in the Hamptons. We winter in the Bahamas. And whatever you do, Dad, don't mention Jersey. So if he's from Jersey and he's like this construction guy, which makes you think like he grew up in the construction, doing the work, and now he owns a company. Dude, what kind of like out of touch asshole would wear a purple suit on a job site?
Yeah.
You're just making your people feel like you're like in charge.
And again, I think that's part of the Rodney Dangerfield. Like Dangerfield had all these weird suits and outfits. So the whole movie, he's wearing a fisherman's hat with a flower in it.
Oh my God.
Like his outfits were so out of control that I think they were just trying to channel, what worked for Rodney. And same thing with his spiel. Like his whole stand-up, like his whole acting was all his stand-up lines. Everything was a one-liner. That's what Rodney did. That's what Rodney's good at, not for Jackie Mason.
Jackie Mason's terrible.
Yeah. So that was,
And then the rich people hating the construction workers, like not wanting them to build. So it's almost, again, the same thing from the last movie.
Yeah.
He hated them because they were building like near Bushwood. This one was like the same. It was the same exact thing. They just erased Al Cervic and they just, added in Jack Hartoonian. What the hell kind of name is that?
And you know what? It was only 8 years after the first one. So it's still it's still fresh. Like the first one's still fresh. It wasn't it was 20 years later. So this is what they kept come up with. They couldn't come up with any ideas. They pretty much had the same idea, the first one, the second one, 8 years later.
No, I know. And the thing that blew my mind is when he really started talking, not on the job site, but afterwards, you can honestly, he spoke too quick. You couldn't understand him, which made it even worse. Like, even if his jokes were funny, which a few of the ones that I understood, they were just so corny.
Well, they're corny. Well, that's what he is. Like, I remember, when I was younger, I actually saw him live.
Oh, really?
With my family. He had a special, Jackie Mason on Broadway. And so, again, he's all like these one-liners, but he has that Yiddish accent.
Yeah.
And I wrote that same thing down. Like, you almost need, some kind of, words underneath what he's saying, subtitles.
Oh, yeah.
To understand what he's saying because he was going so fast.
This seems like, I don't know if he's been in a bunch of stuff, but this could be like his only movie.
Yeah, I don't remember him being in anything else.
His only starring role, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then he's in the clubhouse, and I remember one of the jokes when the guy takes his car when he parks was he was talking about his cousin had a coming out party, and people told him to go back in, and I'm like, oh, come on. Like, this is what we're going to get the whole time. Like, these easy jokes that are but then we see Ty Webb. We see what cocaine and all the issues has done to Chevy.
See, now, okay, so watching the first one, Rodney stole the movie. Chevy Chase was a good second. He was great in the second one.
Yeah.
And I think again, this is something else where they try to take a formula for the first one and use it for the second one. So they made him way crazier than he was in the first one. And I think with the first one, he was crazy, but he knew what he was doing. Like, he was just like, he didn't care. He just wanted to do his own thing. Here, they made him crazy. Like, he was had no clue what was going on. Like, he was just a complete nut job in this one.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you're good.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it's almost like they took his character from the first one and like his character from Fletch, like had a baby, and then they made that because he was just so over the top. You know, like he was a ladies' man, like the girl that he got in Caddyshack, the girl from Tron. Yep. Like, and in this one, he just seemed like he was trying to skeeve everyone out. Like,
he just didn't. He had the earring now, and like.
No, I know.
Like, it just didn't, like, they overdid him as well because you know what? If they dialed what worked for him in the first one into this one, it could have helped the movie.
Oh,
like,
totally.
He was so over the top. But I did laugh when he was meeting all the old timers.
Yeah.
Mr. Wrinkle, Mr. or Mrs. Like.
And then talking about overdoing it, we get it right away. It's probably not even 10 minutes into the movie, and he's shooting pool and he has to do the none. And I'm like, oh, are you ready?
Yeah.
And they go to that well way too many times.
Which, and the one part kind of reminded me of Rocky. I think it was Rocky 2 when he was trying to teach Adrian do, and she was going do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So
Yes.
Jackie Mason, the same thing. He's trying to teach him 999. He's going not. Like he couldn't go. No, and then he went on the whole rant, and that just again that was another like way too long. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
All right, then we get to meet our antagonist for the film, Robert Stack, Unsolved Mysteries. He is taking the role of Judge Schmales.
Well, he was also an Airplane. Now I don't know if Airplane came out at the same time.
No,
So-
Airplane was before this. Yeah.
Okay, right. So he had that dry humor. So I guess they probably figured let's bring him over here. But he's no Schmales.
No, I know, and he wasn't bad. I don't think honestly, I don't think he was the issue.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And okay, so next we meet Diane Cannon, which I went back and I figured out who she was. But at first I feel like they didn't say it. I'm like, wait, they're bashing this guy for what he's wearing and everything and giving him looks. She's wearing like nothing.
Do you know how old she was in the movie?
No.
Okay, so she was 50-something years old. I think it was
wow.
51, 52. So, okay, so she's dressed like a 17-year-old.
Oh, I know.
She's acting, hats on sideways. Like, I don't understand she's 50-something years old. Like, so she was the sexy part of the whole movie.
Oh,
like,
I know.
You have all these people, like, you have Miffy, you have China Phillips, and this is the one, you have a 50-year-old woman trying to be the sexy one in the whole movie. Like,
Yeah.
for her age, she looked good. But
I know.
Phillips.
And then when she showed up, she had the sideways hat, but it was a pink leather hat, and she's riding a horse with a leather jacket and a pink. It's like, wait, why are we doing this?
I know. Yeah, no sense. And she found him attractive.
Oh, that's what he was worse. He was obnoxious.
Right. And he looks like a troll. So, like,
yeah.
Again, for her age, she looks great. She's going to find him attractive. Like, right off the bat, she loved him. Like, right off the bat.
I know. No, I forgot what one of the lines. Oh, he's going to turn this place upside down. And she's like, yeah. It's like, why would you want that?
Yeah.
And I have a theory. I think the antagonist really in this whole movie is Jackie Mason. If you really think about it, he wanted to join a club that already had its rules, okay? And then they didn't want to change and be goofy like he is, so he buys the place. We'll get into that more later, but it's kind of childish. So his again, like you said, everything heightened. First time he uses a club, 12 gauge. What?
Yeah. And then what's the second one had that like magnet.
The lasers.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Rodney had one that shot out, I think, out of his right out of the case, or what did Rodney have? He had one like crazy club.
Oh no, he had a putter that just had like I think he says like, oh yeah, my buddy Albert Einstein made this.
Oh yeah.
And it just had like where to hit the ball. This thing was a map, like a 3D map from like a video game on the green. Like it's not possible.
Yeah.
At least make it again. I mean, we know it's a comedy, we know it's silly, but sometimes it's like. But one thing I did like about the putter, if you remember this part, and this goes back to in a lot of these movies that are crappy that we're watching, sometimes you have to get your fun out of like the little things. Dude, when he's explaining the putter to what's his name, Chandler Young's wife, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the only thing is that it disrupts pacemakers," and the guy's
and the guy in the background
having the heart attack, and he falls on the ground, and then I guess he stopped using the putter. The guy's like, "Oh, I'm okay. It must have been something I ate."
Yeah, I think if you saw the movie for the first time, you might not have noticed that. Because it was all in the background. Like, but yeah, no, that was funny.
Yeah, he fell down pretty hard there. That was great. And then we get to meet the hero of the movie, Randy Quaid, and his name. Do you remember his name in the movie?
I don't.
Peter Blunt. So it's like perfect because that's what he is.
Yes.
Dude, he's just a wacko.
He would, and honestly, if there's any saving grace in this movie, it's him. Like and they didn't overuse him. I don't think I think they felt like, all right, the movie's not going anywhere. Let's throw him in this scene, or let's throw him. Like he added a little something to it.
Oh yeah, totally.
He was over the top at some points, but he had some, I think some good lines. So I think he definitely helped the movie do something.
Oh no, definitely. All right, here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to try to do something, and if not, I can change it. I'm going to see if I can play that first scene when we get to meet him.
Which one of you is Chandler Young's son?
I am.
Real quick for anyone that's listening to this, There's two guys in the boardroom. One guy's clearly older than Chandler Young. And he goes, which one of you are Chandler Young's son? There's one in his 20s, one in his 70s. So, all right.
Well, you've certainly made it very clear how your legal system works, Mr. Young. Now I'd like to explain a little bit about the Peter Blunt system. You see, I don't go in for lawsuits and motions or any of that legal stuff. No. See what happens is I find out where you live, and then I come to your house, see? And I beat down your door with a fucking baseball bat! And then I'm gonna make a bonfire with a Chippendale, maybe roast that golden retriever, then eat it, and then I'm coming upstairs, Junior, and I'm gonna grab you by your Brooks Brothers PJs, and then I'm gonna take your brand new BMW and cram it up your tight ass! Do we have an understanding?
Oh my God. And then this line's the best. How this is how crazy you can tell he is.
I tried to sweet talk him.
So I heard.
Oh my God, that is amazing. But yeah, so that's like a little taste of how crazy he is.
Yeah, that was a little bright spot in this movie.
Oh, definitely. And now the next scene we have, you always have those adversaries, movies. They always do, you got to think, you look back at Footloose. They're playing chicken in the cars. In this one, we get horse jumping. So it's equestrian Robert Stack versus Jackie Mason.
Who's dressed like a ringmaster. I mean, again, another outfit. He's got the top hat. He's got the coattails. He's got the red. I mean, ridiculous. Yeah,
he looks like, a ringmaster or at the end of people's driveways. The one that holds the lamp. The guy that holds the lamp. Oh, my God. But yeah, his horse at first, you think there's something wrong with it. It's oh, and then I think this is the formula for bad movies. I think we're getting a lot of these. So we're thinking the horse is farting. And he goes, oh no, that's me.
But again, don't forget, Rodney farts in the first movie.
Oh, I know.
So again, they're taking that. First of all, the size of his horse is like on steroids.
Oh yeah,
his horse is a monster. And yeah, it's barreling through walls.
Oh no! That again, another thing. Why have that? It's a brick wall. The horse would fall down. Like, why do you have to do that?
And then again, once he finally jumps over, the horse farts again, or Jackie Mason. We don't know which one farted this time, and you hear the horse laughing, like again, personality. I just don't. The whole scene didn't make sense.
Yeah, and then Robert Stack's horse said he's clearing everything, and he says, "Oh, let's raise it up, highest level." And then he's the one that flies off and lands in the mud. It was just, again, another scene that they could have done something that was a little bit better. But
yeah,
for Jackie, if you've never been on a horse before, which is what he looked like, he's not going to be jumping or staying. Oh no, he did actually. Wait, think it back. He did fly off the horse. That's when the horse laughed at him.
You're right in the beginning, right?
Oh my God, I just remembered that. Oh my God, that's amazing. So next we go to that, again, think back to Caddyshack 1, Rodney at the party, which is like iconic. It's the greatest, one of the greatest comedy scenes ever when he's just roasting everybody at the
easily.
table.
Yep.
But no, we get Jackie going to the party. He's wearing a chameleon colored suit, like a mood ring suit.
Everything was over the top. His style, or whatever. Like, if no wonder his daughter's embarrassed by him. He looks like a moron in everything he wears. Like, I don't understand. Like, he's like wearing a costume on everything. So now he's going to party. It's like changes color for no. Everybody's wearing a nice black tie, and he walks in.
Oh yeah.
Again, and she's wearing a bra and
yeah. The same outfit. She wears about the same outfit, just like different things. But you know what's funny? They kind of didn't do Jackie Mason any favors. If you remember, like, the people at the country club were disgusted by Al Cervic, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yep.
But he had his like clique around him, always laughing. Like Jackie Mason, I wrote down, his jokes never land, which they don't. But it might have been a little better for him if he had like a couple cronies around him, at least laughing. But every time he said a joke, it was just like nothing.
Yeah, it felt. Well, I think a lot of it, he kind of says it like almost like he's saying it as he's thinking it. You know what I'm saying? Like, his jokes weren't like, I think, directed at people. It was almost like under his breath.
Oh yeah.
And then I think that's like, it was more for him. and it was just there, didn't fly. I mean,
Yeah.
and then he realizes the one woman that's trying to shut him down is the Robert Stack's wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that started that whole like I guess the situation between the wife, the husband, and now I totally don't want him working being a member there.
Yeah. And then this is another thing I read earlier, and it kind of fits into him not laughing. So Chevy Chase got into a fight with the director, and he said to him, "Call me when you've dubbed the laugh track," before walking away in disgust. So, but it's true. If you think if they would have had somebody around him, it could have been a little bit better. But again, now we get into the questionable auction.
Okay, so this is what I wrote down. So first of all, they call it a slave auction.
I know.
And
society slave.
Right. Okay, but they said something about Mandingo. All right, Mandingo was a slave, I think, from Roots or something like. It was a famous.
Oh my God!
Right. So they mentioned the name Mandingo in this, and then slaves. So I just I don't know. I couldn't believe how they just presented that. And then of course he becomes a big shot and starts buying everybody.
Oh yeah. But you know what's even crazier is the first person's obviously the wife. All right, that's the first person.
You're going to say the same thing I'm going to say. I guarantee you.
All right, good. Go. No, you can go.
Go ahead. I was going to say
it was only $1,000.
That's what I was going to say. This is an elite club.
I know.
These guys are all super rich, and he couldn't go higher than $1,000.
I know. They couldn't make it a funny amount. $1,000, and the kids looked at the dad, and Robert Stack's face was like, "Hey, man, I don't have it."
Yeah, and he even barked when it was $60. Then what did he go? Yeah. He goes $60.25. Some ridiculous number. I mean, that didn't make sense either. No one outbid him, and he bid on 11 people $1,000 each.
I know. And then it was great. The Gopher, when he crashed the party, the Gopher came in, ripped the table down, took everything, and went back outside.
Yeah, and no one freaked. They saw him, they looked at it, and then he walked away, and that's it. And then he was gone.
We remember this from 8 years ago.
Right. That's exactly what it was. And the point where why did he have to even be there? It was almost all right, we haven't seen the Gopher in a while. Let's just throw him at this party and then let him leave again, just to show his face.
Yeah,
it made no sense.
No, it was pointless. And then Kate goes outside, and she's talking to Jonathan Silverman. And it was such an awkward conversation. She obviously is rich. She never has to worry about anything because her dad's construction company. And she asked him, what class do you think I belong in? And then she's asking him, what class are you in? And he's upper middle, sometimes lower high. And I'm like, wait, who asked that? If somebody asked me that, I'd be like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Take it. Yeah. I'm not telling you.
Yeah, that was weird. And then, and I know he mentioned it, but why was he playing golf at night?
Oh, I don't know. He was fired.
He was fired. He was fired. So he's fired. And he's hanging out there just in front of the party, hitting golf balls. It made no sense. Why? And he admitted to it. I guess a lot of people do it at night, but why? Just to have him there.
And I feel that same scene happened in Caddyshack. Somebody hitting golf balls outside of in the original.
Yeah. Well, you had the priest or the bishop.
Oh, in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's really good at golf. Again, we'll get into that, but it should have came down to something with her. Why couldn't she have been the hero?
Right.
But here's a hot take you're not gonna like probably, but I like Jonathan Silverman. I like him better than Danny.
Oh yeah, I'll take that. I mean, Danny was such a doof.
I know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he was, but he was also probably too young. Obviously, he was probably 20-something years old in this movie. So I agree. But you know what? They didn't use him. They barely used him. They had him in scenes. So yeah, no, he could have done a lot better.
That's what made no sense. They only had him in a few scenes, so there was no stake. We know that he liked Kate, and she was kind of into him, but then she had this whole thing about being rich and being upper class. But then he gets chosen to be in the golf match. It would have been so much better. We'll get into that part when it comes to it. But and then we find out, what everybody else thinks in this world. Rich people don't know how to do manual labor.
Yep. Not only that, they don't know how to dress either.
I know.
You remember what Robert Stack was wearing?
He was wearing boat shoes.
And he had like the old like maid like bandana on his head.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. You know, and then the wife's wearing I think heels. You know,
yeah. And she's carrying like pieces of lumber on a ladder all the way up. And yeah, the one guy who seems like a doctor, he's like in front of the wheelbarrow. He gets knocked off. He falls into the dump and into the dumpster. And it's just, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. That. And then you had Roz again, you know, her only other scene, you know, and she was great, you know, for the full, you know, trying to dictate it what to do. But yeah, it was like, not for nothing. Okay. So they had, it was a friendly auction. They're gonna really go out there and work.
I know
this guy to begin with, and they're gonna follow through on that. Like, you know, like they would have said, no way. You know, there's no way they would have done that.
And Robert Stack was broken down so much emotionally that Roz says, "Hey, we're gonna go to the bowling alley after and have a few beers." And he was like, "She's like, do you want to come?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'd like that." And he like was this whole new person. And so the next part's really awesome. I was watching with my wife. So she'd caught something, so I had to go back and pause.
Wait, we're talking about Chevy Chase?
Oh, no. The next part right after that, when they're plotting, they're in the spa.
Okay.
Plotting about what to do with Jackie Mason. So she noticed a sign, so I had to rewind and pause it. And the sign on the wall before the spa said, "Non-members shower before using facilities." What, members? Members don't have to shower? Rich people don't get dirty. That's what they're talking about.
That's awesome.
God.
That's awesome.
Oh no! Now we go to the Ty Webb.
The first thing that we're looking to look at is his family portrait.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
So okay, so like I know I obviously they're trying. Like, well, what was the point of doing that? You know, you had the mom, the dad, and the kid all Chevy Chase's face.
I know.
Like was that supposed to be a fake thing? Was that supposed to be really that's what the Stanley looks like? Like I don't know. Like what was he aiming for? It was just so over the top. Like I don't know if it was a joke or not because he was just so crazy that he just did that. Like I don't know if that was real.
And then he doesn't know if his parents are dead or not.
Mom and Dad, well, they're gone now.
They passed away?
No, Palm Beach. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I think they are dead.
Yeah, he became such a loony that it's like, again, you know, watching the first one, you know, the night before, he was just he wasn't crazy. He just didn't want to follow rules, and he did what he wanted to do. But they thought he had, you know, being crazy. But when he had that whole conversation where my father never liked you, you could tell he's all serious. He's just playing the part. He's not playing a part. He's absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah, he's like a character of himself. Like it's like he's looking at his own character. Like you see on SNL a lot of shows. Like see, like you know, Kate McKinnon, the way she played Hillary, like super super silly. That's not the way it is. But and then they had to do the same thing from the other one, like a goofy game of golf, like playing golf in the house, and it lands on a chess. So it lands on the chess table, and then he's like playing. He has to do the moves of chess, and then he takes his next shot, and then he makes it into a glass. It's like
that's what they did in the first one with Bill Murray. You know, he played. You know, they recycled so much from that first movie.
They took a lot of the jokes, or just regurgitated it in the same way.
And meanwhile, the first movie, I think half the movie, if not like more than half, was all improv. You had, you know, Bill Murray totally improv his part.
Oh, yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield. So, like, now they're taking improv parts and bringing it into this movie.
Yeah. And this whole meeting, the reason why Jack went to see Ty Webb is he wanted to get his 53% of shares so that he could buy Bushwood. And this further is why I say Jack, he's the villain in this movie. He wanted to take something that a ton of people enjoyed, all the members, his daughter loved, to make it his own. And again, this is the part, at 52 minutes, I would have shut it off.
100. Wait, when they opened the door to the sea music park, or what?
Oh, yeah.
Part?
Oh, no, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Jackie's wacky golf sign.
And, you know, yeah, I mean, first of all, how long did it take him to build? So he buys the shares.
Oh, I know.
He built a whole amusement park. Within how long was that time frame? Because
and especially that Robert Stack didn't know it was happening. He never went there in between. He was still a member of it. He just didn't like notice like the people in the giant golf ball costumes running around.
Yeah, that I mean, they almost made it like, all right, he bought it like the night before, and then the next day he had the whole thing set up.
Yeah, but you know what? in this case, I'm happy that we do this podcast, because if I shut it off, then I wouldn't have saw one of the most amazing scenes was Randy Quaid playing golf. And his idea about golf and how he could fix the game was great.
100%. Now, but what I question, why was Robert Stack even playing? When he went out there and he realized the kind of golf he's playing, wouldn't he just walk away? Like, why is he even like going through playing the whole 18 holes? And then he finally, at the end of 18 holes, he's like, all right, I had enough.
Oh, I know.
18 holes. Like,
that's the definition of, that's the definition of having enough. You're done. So you're going to the clubhouse now. No, but you're right. Like, why would he go to the first tee, see how ridiculous it is, and just be like, you know what? It's silly. I'm just going to go. I don't know. You have all this money. Play somewhere else. But maybe he was in financial distress. That's why he couldn't spend over $1,000 on saving his wife from annual labor.
That is true. So that, and then I guess you were talking about before the hockey scene.
Oh, but even before the hockey scene.
Oh,
all right,
you talked about adding contact?
Adding the contact, but even before that, the windmill, he's like, yeah, this windmill shot. Again, this kind of happens later in the movie too, but Tiger Woods in his prime could not hit. Like, you aim a shot to like land in a certain spot, not make it through like a little door. And how about the girls, the Dutch girls that were in Dutch outfits dancing in front of it? Like, God, I hope they have a good health insurance plan.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out, was it a miniature golf course? Was it a regular golf? Like, cause it was just like, and it was like almost like rules that were made up as you go along.
Oh,
you
yeah.
You gotta hit something. The other one, you gotta get in the hole. You gotta get it over. It was just weird. Like, I didn't understand what he was.
I know. And now we'll go back to what you mentioned, the 18th hole.
Yeah.
That is so great. He somehow there's extra hockey pads just laying around, or maybe we don't know. We didn't see a lot of the back nine. Maybe he was just wearing it, like getting in anticipation when he's sitting in the boards with all the players.
And again, I think, you know what? If you've seen the movie for the first time, you might not have noticed it right away that he's sitting right there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I was waiting because this is my favorite part of the whole movie. You know, without a doubt. You know, and then he's ready to. You know, he's standing right in front of him, waiting for him to hit the ball. And the guy's like, you know, no, please get out of the way. He goes, all right. You know, and he's sitting there, and you can tell he's antsy. He's waiting. He's just waiting for his moment.
And as soon as he hits it, it slaps it into the goal, and the ball turns into like a roller hockey ball.
Yep.
Because it was so large, and then he goes, punches him in the gut, and shoves the other guy against the boards.
That was awesome.
Oh my God. And then the next scene that we go to is the water slide. Yeah, the old let's turn the water off the water slide trick. Like, why'd they even have to have that in the movie?
Not only that, so he's up there and he's trying to impress the girls, and he goes, hey, girls, watch this. He's going down a water slide. What are you watching? He's sliding down the water. Like, he's not going on a diver board doing a flip or anything. He's sliding down a water slide. What are they watching?
Oh, I know.
Like, that's his way of impressing them. Hey, girls, watch this, and go down a water slide. Like, it
he's
made
like,
no sense.
Hey, Kate. He's like showing off. It's like, okay, dude, we get it.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
All right, now we get to the part where Dan Aykroyd, and I am going to start you guys off so you can actually hear it. You might want to look it up and see. If you don't want to watch this movie, look up just what he looks like, because it is absolutely insane. Just so you guys know, that was the sound of a ginormous, like, roach coach, like lunch wagon pulling up, and he's in the Robert Stack has to meet him in the ghetto. So whatever Bushwood is, maybe it's a Bushwood, the name of the town too. It's in a ghetto, rough area, and here is the worst voice acting of all time.
Chandler Young?
Yes?
Our mutual friend told me to meet you here. Captain Tom Everett, United States Marine Corps, Item 5-8, Company A, retired.
Expecting someone with some sort of vehicle, but not this.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Your objective is to surveil a target operating in the construction business. What could be better suited for this type of covert recon than a barf wagon?
Okay, that was that was so ridiculous.
Like, what is he trying to channel there? Like, I don't know what he like. He could have done it in normal voice, because obviously he's, you know, like, and fine. It would have, like, what is he trying to channel with that voice? Like, is that supposed to be funny? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. He could have been more of a badass. He could have done the same character like from The Great Outdoors and been like almost like Green Beret, like Hitman-ish, like maybe in a suit. But why do you have to look trashy?
Yeah.
Again, he's dressed like Bill Murray. And it's all, I would love, it would never happen, but in our adventures of doing this, like trying to interview people from the film, it would be amazing to ask Bill Murray like what he thought of this, because they are obviously friends. They work with each other later on.
He lives around by me.
Really?
I've gone trick or treating to his house. His son played t-ball with my son. Not my son, my nephew, and he actually pitched. Like we went to this game. He had the biggest crowd ever. So you know what? He's the type of guy that if you reach out to him, you may because he's crashed people's weddings. Like he's like.
Oh yeah. No, I know he bartended outside of Chicago at a Cubs game.
Yeah,
everything that people ask for, you give him shots of tequila. No, I would just love to hear his like take on it. Like, hey man, this is a good friend of mine. You know, we did a bunch of movies together. And like, what it was?
Yeah,
it was like he was in pain. Like maybe he had like I don't know, like he had to get his gallbladder removed.
Yeah, he had a shortness of breath. Like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what he was channeling. Like what was he? He almost sounded like Jim Carrey from In Living Color. I think Jim Carrey did like a Woodchuck the Gray Squirrel. He did like and he sounded like him, but he was playing like a total dork. Like I don't know what his I don't know what he's channeling. Like what's the point of doing that? Like just to be able to. Oh, don't forget, Bill Murray had that. Drawl when he was speaking in the first one. So he's trying to channel something like that, I guess. Again, it's recycling the first movie. Is really
no, it definitely is. Oh, so the next part we go to is the date. Diane Cannon goes over to the house. And the thing that's funny about it, so this guy's in construction. I know he wears these goofy suits, but we're to believe that he knows everything inside and out. Dude, how does he lock himself? How does this door handle break?
Well, this whole scene is really unnecessary.
I know.
Because then nothing goes right. His door breaks. He falls out the window. He has it made no there was no sense for that. Not to mention, do you remember what his hairdryer looked like?
It was a gun.
It was a gun. What is that? Like what is
I know.
Yeah, and right. He's in construction. Yet I'm sure he built his own house. Is doorknob's gonna break?
I know. And at least, how you can swallow your pride a little bit and just say, hey, Diane Cannon, can you help me over here? Instead of falling out the window at his age. Could have broken a hip.
Yeah, but the whole scene was no sense at all whatsoever.
I know. And then he's so pissed off after that is when they're still using all the tactics so he can't build, or his company doesn't have electricity and he's like still pissed off about it. So He meets Ty Webb at the bar.
Well, before you even go there, so the daughter comes home. So she starts packing because she needs to get out of there. Did you notice any of the posters on her room?
No.
Okay. So she had a poster in her room for a movie called Follow the Sun, right?
Follow the Sun.
The movie came out in 1951. So I looked it up. It's a real movie, but it's a 1951 movie. That's the poster she has in her room. As a 1951 movie called Follow the Sun. Like, what is how weird is that? And she's worried about it. That was just what of all posters that she's gonna have in it. I don't know. That was
oh my god.
Yeah,
that's so funny. They're probably like, okay, guys, we need posters. Get whatever you can. And they went into this old closet, and that's all they had.
Yeah. Yeah.
The set designer was like a 70-year-old lady, and she's just like, "Oh, I love this growing up. She'll like the same thing."
Yep.
Oh my god. So then they're at the bar, and I had to cue this scene up because God, again, we talked about he's being a character of himself.
Yep.
It is insane how just it's just getting worse and worse. How Ty Webb is just like being ridiculous. If you got to go back to the first one, he's kind of a lady killer,
100%. And you talk about when he sat down and talked to all the women?
Yes, here it is.
Yep.
Hi. I'm Ty Webb. We were noticing you at the bar.
Want to play Drop the Clown? Tip the donkey?
Excuse me.
Spank the puppy.
All right, one gone. 3 left.
Swallow the swan?
I have to put him down in a minute. I'll help him.
Mow the lawn? Pop the weasel? ever seen a crisp $50 bill?
And she's gone. What is insulting about that? I know it's weird. It makes no sense. Maybe she thought he was like calling her a prostitute.
Right. Well, that's exactly what it was. So that's, first of all, he gave, all those terms that he did, or all those like lines, like, they were not normal. They were like,
they were so bad.
Yeah. Like punching the clown.
Just like punching the clown. That would have been better than, spank the puppy.
Yeah. That again, another scene that really made no sense. Like, didn't have to be part of that movie.
And then right after this is when the challenge happens. They're about to fight, which has been hilarious that they actually threw down.
And the way they were like standing in boxing was like 1942, like like the street. Yeah,
yeah, fisticuffs. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Oh, but just before that, how did I skip ahead this? So Dan Aykroyd, he had one job, okay, and he kind of took the blame for it, but I don't blame him. Wouldn't Robert Stack have told him, like, hey, he has a Rolls Royce, but guess what? I had the same Rolls Royce. No, he doesn't do that. So then he puts the bomb. We see the bomb go under the car. Jackie Mason gets in the car, and Jackie Mason can't drive. I think he's too old because he can barely drive away.
Well, he probably can't see over the steering wheel.
That is true. Somebody took his phone books.
Well, I mean, we totally went over the comedy gold of the names that Dan Aykroyd came up with for Robert Stack.
Mrs. Westhouse? Yes.
And,
Mr. Sanderson.
So, yeah, I mean, that's comedy gold right there. So,
yeah. Oh, my God. And then, obviously, Dan Aykroyd gets it wrong because Jackie Mason, a car blows up. We're like, oh, my God. Jackie Mason, we see him driving, so it's not his car. It's the Rolls Royce of Robert Stack. And then right after that is when the next day they challenge each other. Or no, it was just before that, I think. Yeah, they were going to fight just before that.
Yeah, right, and that's why he left.
Yeah. And now we get the Rocky scene, the training, which was so ridiculous. He's trying to – Jonathan Silverman, who sucks at golf too, when we learned, Kate taught him how to swing.
Yeah, but before that, now, unless I missed it something, did Robert Stack pay off Chevy Chase to get him to challenge? Because he was paying him money after the whole fight. Like, there was an exchange of money. So I thought that's what Robert Stack wanted, was for him to challenge him to get everything. And that's like, I'm almost positive there was an exchange of money. So I think he got Chevy Chase to say, hey, let's do it on the course.
That makes sense. I probably was just like questioning the whole movie at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but it looked like there was an exchange of money. And then Chevy Chase had some line, another stupid line, and then they went to the car scene. So, but I think Chevy Chase set it up. But then, because that's why I questioned, then why is he helping him? With all those gadgets were like the one where they tied his arms and his head and his legs.
Oh my God. Or we get another, like you talked about it before, the whole from Rocky 2 when he's trying to teach Adrian. The same thing. He's like, nah. Yeah. Nah.
How long did that go on for? I mean, like, again, yeah.
As long as that scene was that long. That's how long it was. And then how about when Ty Webb's like, hey, why don't you just swing? I trust you. He walks forward, then the ball hits him in the neck, and he swats it away like it's a fly. And it's like, again, another nah, and it's just like,
yeah,
come on, man. That was like perfect with the way it was used. Like, if you go back to the first one, if Danny used that, it just wouldn't have been the same. Like, if he did the same exact thing.
Yeah. No, it worked perfectly, and he had the music of his Chevy Chase's aura. Like, he had that special agility to get these balls in the hole, and they played that music, and then it worked in the first movie. It did not work in the second movie at all. It was overdone.
And then we go back to the accuracy. Like, Randy Quaid seemed like he never played golf, but he was able to hit a little door opening from 200 yards away. Dan Aykroyd, he's hiding in the bushes. Robert Stack's on his horse, and then we have Mrs. Esraos. We had that exchange. And then he goes, well, I have something that's going to take care of Jackie Mason. And again, he was ex-military, right? Dude, why not just use a gun?
Use a sniper rifle? Yeah.
Totally. He uses a gun but not where he should have later.
Yeah.
But no, he has a golf ball with skull and crossbones on it. And he hits a watermelon hanging from a noose from 200 yards away. And it's just like, dude, again, I'll mention it again. Tiger Woods in his prime could not do that.
Yeah.
So why is Dan Aykroyd, a guy looks like he probably never swung a golf club before, he's able to hit that melon? It's just
not to mention that. All right, so his choice of weapon is a golf ball that explodes, but he's surrounded by everybody else in that area. Wouldn't they all get affected by that explosion of the golf ball?
Oh yeah.
And if I'm Robert Stack, I'm like, listen, I'm playing against him. I don't want anything near to go with it, But that was his choice of explosion.
And then this is kind of like foreshadowing, but so he hits the golf ball, right? Hits it, it hits the watermelon, and explodes. So you think it is on impact.
Yep.
But we learn later somehow they can work like a grenade too, which again makes no sense. But yeah, so we get the match starts. And this is the part that I thought was pretty funny, especially that I read that Chevy Chase quote. That he's there for it, and then it's almost like, okay, guys, I'm done filming, and he just leaves.
You know that he probably filmed that movie probably in 3 hours. He did his scenes, and
I
got a thing, and then he leaves. Which, a funny line. He looks at his arm. There's no watch there. He does it twice in the movie. And then he leaves. Just to throw some kind of, because again, he is a funny guy. Back in the 80s, he was awesome. So I think they figured, let me show Chevy Chase's face here a little bit more, and then he's done. You could tell he really didn't want much part of this movie.
Oh, I know. No, he bounced, and you could tell. I bet you he did the scene hit on the girl. Some of those lines didn't land; they weren't funny, and he was probably like, "Yeah, all you guys are only getting one take out of me." But no, he just leaves right in the beginning. You thought he would be around everything, but no, he just leaves.
And you said it before. So we have Jonathan Silverman being his partner. Yeah, it's such a small role in the movie. Why not his daughter? His daughter
I know.
Could crush the ball.
I know.
They showed, that. They didn't even use her. That would have been a father-daughter thing. That should have happened. So yeah.
And I think that when we get to the end, when we try to fix this movie, I think we could have. I really think there might be hope. But so then again, we go back. Dan Aykroyd. He's doing a regurgitated thing. He's checking out older women.
Yep.
Dude, that's I just understand. It's almost like, I know we said it so many times, but it just keeps happening that it's the same jokes.
It is. And then his interaction with the gopher, the same exact. Now he has a pest that he's got to control. And so instead of going on what he's supposed to do, he was now, his goal was to kill this gopher. And exactly what Bill Murray was doing. And that's the whole point. Like, this movie is such a regurgitation of the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because they figured, you know what, it worked then. We don't have the actors, so let's just maybe it's just the scenes. Maybe the actors weren't that funny. It was the scenes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's what they did. So, yeah, 100%.
And then Jackie Mason's so bad, he has a monster slice, and it goes all the way. It boomerangs back at them. And then Jonathan Silverman's like, here, go this way. And then he aims left, and then it works. And they come back. They were like 7 holes down. They ended up coming back. And it all comes down to the last hole. Just like, why wouldn't it? You know?
Of course.
So then here's one part that I really was laughing at. And my wife did have to sit through the end of the movie with me. But when Kate grabs Miffy and yokes her up, grabs her shoulders, and you're like thinking, oh my God, she's about to throw her in the lake or throw her into something. And then just lands on the ground. And then she falls down the hill.
Yeah. Now, the one thing you forgot, I thought it was one of the funnier lines in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Randy Quaid, you ever putt with a wedgie?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, all the pros are doing it.
Again, like the one bright spot, but I think that was a funny part in the movie. And then he goes, come on, hit me. And he's like going down the hill.
Oh, Randy Quaid's little speech before the putting of the wedgie, he goes, hey, he's 50 feet away, you're 5 feet. I'm one of those guys that bet on the guy that's closer to the hole, you know? And then he talks about the putting of the wedgie, all the pros are doing it.
Yep.
So then, of course, none. Oh, my God. All right, real quick, the green, you guys heard that we've mentioned that it's a mini golf course.
It's
the green, yes, the Warner Brothers. Yes, the Warner Brothers logo.
None.
What? And again, just make him make it. Why did it was like there was a magnet.
Yeah.
So if I was Robert Stack, it would be under protest, and I would be very disappointed in what just happened.
Well, the fact that they also played on his ridiculous course. I mean, you're betting everything on that course. How about going to a neutral place? Go to a neutral golf course. So it's
that would make it fair. Yeah, no, definitely. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So then, obviously, the next scene, take it away.
Well, before we got to go, of Dan Aykroyd going after this gopher, who first of all he was going to kill. So he was going to kill. His goal was to kill Jackie Mason with an arrow, a poisonous arrow.
Yeah.
That that was murder. So Robert Stack wanted him murdered. He wanted Jackie Mason murdered. Is that so not even just So then he has his poisonous arrow that shoots him right in the ass. By accident.
No, the silliness of it, like. The whole thing he shows to Robert Stack, he's showing off to him, like, hey, here's this golf ball and here's this thing I'm going to do. And then we see him with the arrow, and he said it best. He gets shot in the ass. But even like when he was going after him, he has an Uzi. It already seems like he has a screw loose anyway, shooting a gopher with an Uzi. So why isn't he, going just running on the course like in Happy Gilmore and shooting him? But it's really funny? The gopher, obviously, you can't expect. It's a movie. You have a budget. They used the same layer.
Wars?
No. Use the same layer from the beginning. So you saw the speaker in the wall.
Right.
Saw all of his pretzels. Like it was the same exact set from earlier in the movie for the gopher.
And the gun, it was an Uzi. The gun noise was a Star Wars gun.
Oh my God! I didn't even notice.
It had the laser, noise from Star Wars. That was the gun that he used.
Oh my God! And then the gopher stole the golf balls from the bag from his arsenal. So these are the exploding golf balls, which somehow work like grenades. So it's like when the gopher put it down, it was already like activated. There was like this little ticking sound we heard. And
somehow the gopher is able to get a perfect hole.
I know.
And pull things down and replace it like perfect.
I know.
Like on one shot. Like it's ridiculous.
And nobody saw it. Nobody noticed that the golf ball switched. And the golf ball, it's not like it had no logo on it. It was like a giant skull and crossbones, like right in his face. And then his family, it blows up. Their family's all black. Their faces are all smoked up from the explosion. And Jonathan Silverman, it looks like that's a lost ball. And Kate's like, I think it is. We win. And then Jackie is like, so excited that they won. And then here's the last scene that I have to play is obviously this, Jackie Mason wins. Here is, the end scene of the movie that is like extremely creepy.
I forgot about this.
All right, guys. So the gopher pops out of the ground after like saving the day for Jackie Mason, which he owes nothing to. But here is the gopher. All right, so the gopher's making sexual sounds at Diane Cannon and Jackie Mason kissing, and then you're like, "Oh my God, that's so gross! How could they make it even grosser?" Wait, this is like a scene. I really hope that there's a clip on YouTube so you guys can look it up. Or this movie is on Hulu, so go on to Hulu. Just honestly, don't watch the movie. Just go to like
just fast forward to the end.
Yeah, just go to 132 because this part is ridiculous.
First of all, look at the size of the gopher.
Yeah, the gopher ate so much, his body is like, his whole, like, his head's smaller, and it just goes out. He's like Jabba the Hutt. And he's like dancing. Yeah. And he's dancing, and he's flirting with, what do you think, another gopher? No, a poodle.
Look how fat he is.
And that's the end of the movie, his humping, and it freeze frames on him mid-hump. Oh, my God. So that was it. That was Caddyshack 2. All right, so this is the part where we try to play, like, I don't know. I haven't really, like, named this section yet, guys, but, like, movie doctors, we try to go back in and see how we can actually fix this movie, because it was, 4% on Rotten Tomatoes? Like, how could we have made this movie, like, even just a little bit better? What do you got?
Well, I mean, for obvious reasons, I think, if you had Rodney Dangerfield back in and Jackie Mason out, the movie's already 10 times better.
Oh, no, definitely.
Because, again, the dialogue, he would bring his own flair to it. So, one, that would be much better. Two, Chevy Chase, I think, use him in a better way. I think they didn't use him enough, and they made him too over the top. If they had the same character as the first movie, he would be better. But I think Rodney Dangerfield, I think he would have made the movie 10 times better. I think the casting of Jackie Mason was horrendous because, you think about a time You're gonna tell me there's no other comedians
I know.
You know, of all they use him, like, you know. So if I think anybody else would have done a better job. It just he was not the right fit.
I was trying to look at like what other comedians are like hot at that time, and obviously there's a bunch that came up in the '80s. Like that was like Seinfeld. You can never see in a role like that. But you know, one person that like when I looked at this list that intrigued me, and it was like just before he started doing movies, because I think in '90 Bill and Ted came out. Yeah, I think Bill and Ted came out in '90, or was it late '80s? But George Carlin. I don't know why. I just think his humor might have been a little bit, I don't know, just really anybody but Jackie Mason.
Yeah, you know, George Carlin is great. I mean, I think, like I said, I think anybody but Jackie Mason. Jackie Mason, what else was he in? Like, you know, he's not a movie guy. He's a comedian. He's a stand-up. You know, he has his following, but not for movies. I mean, you know, first of all, he looked too old to play the girl's father. He just didn't. Definitely didn't look like a love interest for the Diane Cannon. Like, it was a horrible casting choice. So
totally.
I think that made a lot of it. Too many recycling jokes too. I mean, if they cut out some of the recycling jokes and made the movie themselves, you know, it would have been different. But Dangerfield, to me, if he stayed on, it was a whole different movie.
Oh, totally. Especially what they said, like what I read, if that's true. Like Hal Ramis had the whole movie written around his character, which kind of obviously what this movie is. Like it's written around Jackie Mason. But just one thing to go back into the movie, but even if they used Jackie Mason, but again, surrounded him with cronies, like made him look better. Like he just looked like an oaf the whole time. Like when you watch Rodney Dangerfield, not once you're like, oh my God, this guy's such a goofball. You're like, dude, this guy's cool. Like this guy is like the life of the party.
He was the life of the party, 100%. And you know, that's why he didn't look like such a buffoon, because he had Wang next to him the whole time.
Oh, definitely.
He had his sidekick, and he had like his entourage. That was fun.
Totally.
They loved him. His boat, his yacht. Everybody was following him everywhere. Jackie Mason had nobody except Diane Cannon.
Yeah, and he never looked bad. There's not one time that Rodney Dangerfield looked bad.
Yeah.
Jackie Mason, there's a few times, like we talked about, his jokes didn't land. But even one time when he was talking to Robert Stack's wife, and she got up and he fell in the pool. And it was like, that was the end of the scene. Like that was, he just was like a boob the whole time. Like he was never cool.
Yeah. Yeah, not at all.
But yeah, no, and I just think if they not even just not use Dan Aykroyd, just if he was just him, maybe himself or a different character, or played like maybe like, I don't know, just like a different guy, like the voice, like ruined that whole part.
100%. If he played normal, I'm not a big Dan Aykroyd fan anyway. So, but if he played the part with a normal voice, and he could play a lunatic, but like in a normal voice, like the voice was so over the top that it took away everything that he was trying to do.
Yeah, it sounded cartoony. Like the first time you saw him, every time they showed up again, it was terrible. And I think again, the Gopher stuff, we were just laughing at the end scene of the movie, like him looking at Jackie Mason kissing and like being creepy. We're laughing how ridiculous it's not funny, but just the over the top. Even with the Gopher, you could have had like the same interaction, but just not crazy.
What they could have done, Tackleberry, like something like Tackleberry. He didn't have it over the top. But he was a lunatic. Like if he could play the role like Tackleberry from Police Academy, the role would have been better.
No, definitely. No, he could have been good in the role. Maybe not having Dan Aykroyd would have been good, especially somebody that is kind of not the same as Bill Murray, because nobody's Bill Murray, but somebody that close to him.
Right.
Have somebody from a different comedy like clique or group.
Yeah, sure.
But no, I think everything else I liked, like I said it before, Jonathan Silverman, I thought he was good. He could have been in the movie a little bit more. But, the end scene. How about do an Al Cervic? Like, you do that same ending with Rodney. Have Jonathan Silverman, maybe Randy Quaid gets too overzealous, tackles him. Like he kind of does when he, like, gets in his face at the end. But have it do it, like, earlier in the match when they're losing by 7 holes. Have him, like, tackle him and he breaks his arm.
Right.
And then Kate steps up and Kate plays and wins the match.
Yeah.
I just thought it was, I don't know. You had all these little things that hinted at her being so good, and she never used it.
And, his obviously his relationship with her wasn't great, so this would have been a good way for them to, get that relationship back on track. And I think that could have made things a lot different also. It made no sense using John. He didn't even know who Jonathan Silver was.
I know.
Silverman was, so, I mean, well, would you recommend it?
To watch it?
Yeah.
See, like, it's funny because when you texted me that said you're done with it, like I was only at, like 45 minutes. So like the first 45 minutes it's not horrible, to be honest, but And then if you could like pick and choose at the end, like honestly, the Randy Quaid scenes are gold. Like every time he's on screen, he's just so ridiculous and he's so funny. Like, dude, that scene we played for you guys earlier when he talks about like eating the Doberman or whatever kind of dog that people had. I don't know. It was just so over the top and crazy, but it was funny.
Yeah, I think if you're a fan of the first one, just to see the movie, what they did to it, and to see Randy Quaid's scenes, and even to see some of Chevy Chase scenes, I would definitely recommend watching it. I'm not, but go in there knowing the movie is garbage.
Yeah,
and it's it doesn't do the first one justice at all, but there are some funny scenes, so you're not going to get bored. You're just going to be disappointed. I think you'd be disappointed more than bored.
Yeah. And sometimes that word is worse when parents say they're disappointed in you. You rather just say they hate you. No, that makes sense. But you know what? To be honest with you, with us trying to fix the movie, to be honest, I think we saved it. Because if you're right, if it was the way it was supposed to be, if Hal Ramis stayed on the picture and Rodney didn't have his disagreements, dude, this movie would have killed Rodney in that role.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody else the same, Rodney just in it.
Again, that's why they based his character on Rodney. If Rodney did everything, if the dialogue was the same, and Rodney kills it. Rodney 100% kills because his eyeball, movements and his facial expressions and the way he walks, like that's all Rodney. Jackie Mason doesn't have that, and it was almost like Jackie Mason was in every single scene. I mean,
I know.
And I think that's part of the problem. Is like this way too much Jackie Mason,
and he was the worst. That's it for Caddyshack 2. Stay tuned for next week's interview with Tim Lawrence. He's not an actor. He's behind the scenes. So he's a puppeteer, he's a molder, and stop motion animator. He worked on some of your favorite 80s films. So subscribe so you don't miss out. Review, rate, and share our podcast. And follow us on Twitter at Sequels Only. Good night.